You have been lied to. The entire culture, the entire multi-billion-dollar self-help industry, is built upon a soft, sweet, and ultimately dangerous deception. What is that lie? That your ultimate life goal is happiness. That you must wake up every morning, chase comfort, seek pleasure, and avoid every ounce of pain at all costs. But I am here to deliver a harsh truth. A truth that will fundamentally reorient your understanding of personal growth. You do not need happiness. You need strength. Let me repeat that for the gravity of the claim to sink in. Happiness is transient, fragile, and conditional. Strength is a permanent, internal, and self-sufficient asset. You can achieve happiness in a minute, but you must build strength over a lifetime. The happiness we are trained to pursue, this so-called happy high, is merely a chemical reaction in the brain. A small dopamine hit that we hunt for through meaningless consumption, junk food, short-form videos, or empty validation from strangers. When that dopamine high fades, you crash, and you run immediately to find a new hit. That is not living. That is a vicious, endless cycle of dependence, a reliance on external factors to regulate your internal state. Stoicism, the philosophy grounding this discussion, offers a far superior concept, eudaimonia. This is the term the ancient Greeks used to describe a life well lived. Eudaimonia does not mean happiness. It means human flourishing, to live a life true to your highest potential and character. And to achieve eudaimonia, you need one thing above all else: mental strength. The Stoics knew this simple truth. Life is not a soft meadow, it is a rugged battlefield. If you focus solely on finding the sunshine, you will be utterly shattered the moment the first storm hits. Strength is the ability to stand firm, not the ability to hide. It is the profound capacity to accept that pain is inevitable, and that you have the unbreakable choice in how you respond to it. The deception of happiness is that it promises comfort. The truth of strength is that it demands sacrifice. The question I pose to you right now is this: would you rather live a life constantly dependent on external conditions to feel okay? Or would you rather build an impregnable inner citadel where no external event, no misfortune, and no temporary discomfort can ever breach your peace and self-worth? Why do you fear pain? The reason is deceptively simple. We live in a world designed to eliminate all forms of discomfort. We call it convenience, but the Stoics would have called it softness. Let us label this phenomenon the softness syndrome. When you only live in the sun, your skin becomes thin and fragile. When the first cold snap hits, you catch a cold. When the first major setback occurs, your spirit shatters. The vast majority of people today suffer from this syndrome. They fear silence. They fear solitude. They fear lack. They fear rejection. Why? Because they have never deliberately trained their capacity to endure. They are spiritual weaklings, not by choice, but by the design of a culture that coddles them. The ancient Stoics, from Seneca to Marcus Aurelius, understood that merely avoiding pain does not eliminate pain. It only guarantees that you are utterly unprepared when the inevitable pain finally arrives. And that is why they practiced a powerful method, one I believe is the most neglected tool in our modern arsenal: Praemeditatio Malorum. Praemeditatio Malorum does not mean you are meant to be a pessimist. It means you are meant to be ready. It is the proactive practice of meditating on the worst-case scenarios. Sit down, close your eyes, and visualize the most devastating things that could happen in your life. Picture losing your job. Visualize the death of a loved one. Imagine being betrayed by your closest friend. Allow the fear, the cold sting of that potential reality, to wash over you. Why would you deliberately subject your mind to such darkness? For two fundamental reasons. First, by living through the crisis in your mind today, you strip the future crisis of its power over you. When the event actually happens, it will not arrive as a shocking, spirit-crushing novelty. Instead, it will feel strangely familiar, already processed. You will be able to say, "I have been here before. My mind is ready." Second, you gain an immediate, profound gratitude for your present moment. As Seneca asked, he suffers more than necessary. Who suffers before it is necessary? But by confronting the unnecessary suffering of the future, you realize how incredibly rich you are right now. You have your health. You have your loved ones. You have your home. You begin to appreciate what you stand to lose, which is the fastest way to embrace and utilize what you currently possess. This is the difference. The person chasing happiness avoids the dark. The person building strength walks willingly into the dark to test the reliability of their inner light. The softness syndrome makes you afraid to live. Praemeditatio Malorum makes you ready to die, and therefore, truly ready to live. The greatest power we possess is not the power to acquire, but the power to endure the loss of what we acquire. That power is strength, and it is built only through the acceptance of potential pain. If you are still skeptical, let us turn to the greatest practitioners of this philosophy. We are not talking about ivory tower academics. We are talking about men who lived under unimaginable pressure, a slave who became an influential teacher, and an emperor who ruled the known world. Consider Epictetus, who was born into slavery and physically crippled. He taught us the ultimate lesson in strength, the dichotomy of control. He said, "Some things are in our control, and others are not." The man chasing happiness spends his entire life trying to control what is outside his power: the weather, the opinions of others, the economy, the actions of his neighbors. This effort is a guaranteed path to weakness and constant frustration. The strong man, the Stoic, dedicates his energy only to what is in his control: his judgments, his impulses, his desires, and his aversions. This dedication is the construction of the inner citadel. It is a fortress inside your own mind, where nothing external, no insult, no financial loss, no physical discomfort, can penetrate and disturb your core serenity. The happiness seeker is a house built on sand, constantly shifting with the external tides. The strength builder is a stone fortress, unmoved by the chaos surrounding it. Now look at Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, yet a man perpetually besieged by war, plague, and betrayal. Where did he find his strength? Not in his armies, not in his wealth, but in the solitude of his meditations. He wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This is the core of Stoic strength, recognizing that your emotional state is not an involuntary reaction, but a voluntary judgment. Your coworker insults you. The happiness seeker judges this as, "I have been harmed," and reacts with anger or sadness. The strength seeker judges this as, "An external factor has occurred that I cannot control, and I choose not to assign it the power to disturb my tranquility." The strength to revoke your judgment, the strength to choose not to be harmed, is the ultimate power. It allows you to operate from a place of deep, internal peace, regardless of external circumstances. This is a far superior goal than happiness, because happiness can be taken away in an instant by a bad event. Strength, once built, is yours forever. You are not a victim of your circumstances, you are a victim of your internal response to your circumstances. This is the hardest lesson to accept, and the most liberating. Stop hoping for an easy life. Start working on a strong spirit. As Epictetus reminded us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This is the foundation of the inner citadel. But how do you build this fortress? By engaging in voluntary hardship. Strength is not passive, it is an active process. Like forging steel in fire. To truly inoculate yourself against the softness syndrome, you must deliberately seek out the discomfort that modern life has so carefully eliminated. This is the Stoic training protocol: voluntary hardship. Seneca, who lived a life of immense wealth, would periodically practice poverty. He would dress in rags, eat the cheapest food, and sleep on the floor, not because he had to, but because he needed to test his mind. He wanted to know, can I survive without all this? You must ask yourself the same question. Protocol 1. The cold shock, the practice of enduring. This is the most immediate and profound tool. When you step into a cold shower, not a comfortable one, but a genuinely cold one, your mind screams, "Stop, this is pain, this is danger." That scream is the voice of the softness syndrome. The act of standing there for 2 minutes, breathing deeply, and choosing not to flee, is the act of training your mind to dismiss its own panic judgments. You are teaching your brain that you are in charge, not its primitive desire for comfort. Protocol 2. The fasting test, the practice of self-control. We live in a world of immediate gratification. Hunger is seen as a crisis. By engaging in intermittent fasting, you are practicing self-denial. You tell your body, I know you want that food, but we will wait. Your desire does not control my schedule. This simple act transfers control from your primal urges to your rational will. It builds the mental muscle of discipline, which is essential for every area of success in life. Protocol 3. Digital distancing, the practice of solitude. Seneca warned against the crowd, saying it often corrupts character. The modern crowd is the digital world. Choose one day a week, a true Stoic Sabbath, to disconnect. No phone, no social media, no news. Embrace the uncomfortable silence. When the anxiety of missing out, FOMO, hits, recognize it as a withdrawal symptom from your dependence on external validation. Endure it. In that silence, your inner voice, the voice of your rational self, can finally be heard. Protocol 4. Intentional discomfort, the practice of poverty. This goes back to Seneca. For 1 month, deliberately remove a convenience you take for granted. Maybe you stop using the elevator and only use stairs. Maybe you stop ordering delivery and only cook basic meals. Maybe you sleep on a firm mat instead of your soft mattress. The goal is not masochism. The goal is the profound realization, I can handle this. I am tougher than my environment. Every minute you spend in these deliberate discomforts is a minute spent building mental armor. You are creating a gap between your circumstances and your response. The man who has practiced cold showers is far less likely to panic when he receives a bad financial report. The woman who has practiced fasting is far less likely to break her concentration when facing a difficult deadline. This is the definition of mental strength, reliability under duress. This leads us to the ultimate reward. The path of strength is difficult, but the reward is worth more than all the temporary happiness the world can offer. The reward is absolute freedom. Think about the person who chases happiness. They are a slave. They are a slave to the stock market. Because if their investments drop, their happiness vanishes. They are a slave to their partner. Because if their partner leaves, their happiness is destroyed. They are a slave to their job. Because if they lose the title, their identity crumbles. They are constantly in fear of losing something external that they need to feel okay. Now consider the person who has built strength. They have practiced poverty. They have practiced being rejected. They have practiced living in the cold. When they lose the external thing, they do not shatter. They pause, and they access their inner citadel, which they know is impregnable. They say, I am stronger than this loss. This is an external event, and I am internally prepared. This is the state the Stoics called apatheia, often mistranslated as apathy. True apatheia means, without passion, in the sense of being free from the destructive. Involuntary passions, fear, excessive desire, rage, that drag you down. It is not coldness, it is profound, unbreakable peace. It is the peace of knowing you are ready for anything. When you prioritize strength, your relationship with happiness changes entirely. You no longer need it. And precisely because you do not need it, you can truly enjoy it when it arrives. Happiness becomes the unexpected icing on a cake that is already complete. You no longer cling to it in desperation, because you know your well-being does not depend on its presence. Your fear shifts from what if I lose this comfort, to how can I best use the strength I have built. You transition from being a consumer of life's pleasures to a master of your own experience. You are free from the tyranny of external validation, free from the dictates of impulse, and free from the constant anxiety of loss. This self-mastery is the ultimate form of power. True strength is not about being able to fight. It's about being able to stand perfectly still and perfectly calm when everyone around you is panicking. That stillness, that peace, is not happiness. It is unbreakable strength, which is the only reliable path to eudaimonia, a life that truly flourishes. On your terms, regardless of the world's chaos. So, let us conclude with the final truth. The world is trying to sell you a cushion. The Stoics are trying to sell you armor. The choice is fundamental. Do you want to be comfortable, or do you want to be invincible? Happiness is the temporary absence of pain. Strength is the ability to maintain peace in the presence of pain. They are not the same. In fact, pursuing strength often requires you to choose a brief period of unhappiness, that cold shower. that difficult conversation, that moment of discipline, to guarantee a lifetime of tranquility. The path of strength is the only path that respects reality. Reality is hard, reality is unpredictable, and reality does not care if you are comfortable. The only reliable strategy is to become harder, more reliable, and more self-sufficient than the difficulties you face this week. I issue you a challenge. Do not look for happiness. Look for a voluntary hardship. Practice Praemeditatio Malorum for 5 minutes every morning. Take that 2-minute cold shower. Deny yourself one small comfort you crave today. In that moment of deliberate discomfort, you will feel the friction. That friction is not suffering. That friction is your inner steel being forged. Do not be afraid of the pain. Be afraid of the weakness that makes you flee from the pain. Embrace the training. Build the inner citadel. And when you are truly strong, you will realize that you never needed happiness to begin with. You needed mastery, and mastery is the only source of enduring joy. If this message resonated with the strength in you, if you are ready to trade comfort for resilience, I want you to do 3 things right now. First, subscribe to this channel and join a community dedicated to building an inner fortress, not an outer facade. Second, like this video to spread the message that strength is the true goal. Third, write the word Citadel in the comments below. Let the world know you have chosen the path of the Stoic, the path of strength, and the path of absolute freedom. Thank you for watching. Now go build your armor.